The world watched in astonishment as Bashar al-Assad, the once seemingly unmovable dictator of Syria, fled his own capital city. Damascus, the heart of Assad's power for over 2 decades, had fallen. Assad's escape to Russia marked a stunning turn of events in the long and bloody Syrian conflict. The Syrian strongman's departure signified the collapse of his regime. It left a void in power and a country grappling with the uncertainties of a post-Assad era. Assad's journey out of Syria remained shrouded in mystery. He surfaced in Moscow seeking refuge with his longtime ally, Vladimir Putin. From the Russian capital, Assad broke his silence. He released a carefully crafted statement claiming his departure was unplanned. He insisted he had remained in Damascus until the last possible moment, only leaving to oversee military operations from a Russian base in Latakia. However, these claims have been met with skepticism from international observers. The fall of Damascus represents a turning point in the Syrian conflict. It is a devastating blow to the Assad regime. It raises crucial questions about the future of Syria. Who will fill the power vacuum? Will the opposition forces be able to establish a stable and inclusive government? And what role will Russia, Turkey, and other regional and international actors play in shaping the country's destiny? The international community is closely watching these developments. The stakes are high. The Syrian people have endured unimaginable suffering. The world is looking for any sign of hope for a peaceful and stable future for this war-torn nation. The final assault on Damascus was swift and decisive. Opposition forces, led by the formidable Hayat Tahrir al-Sham (HTS), launched a multi-pronged offensive from their stronghold in Idlib province. They advanced rapidly, encountering surprisingly little resistance from the demoralized and depleted Syrian army. City after city fell to the rebel alliance. Strategic towns and military installations were captured with remarkable speed. The momentum of the offensive seemed to catch the Assad regime off guard. Within weeks, the rebels had reached the outskirts of Damascus. The Syrian capital, once thought to be an impenetrable fortress, was now within their grasp. The fall of Damascus sent shockwaves through the region and beyond. It marked the end of over 5 decades of Assad family rule. Hafez al-Assad, Bashar's father, had seized power in a coup in 1970. He established an authoritarian regime that ruthlessly suppressed dissent. Bashar inherited his father's iron grip on power in 2000. He continued the family tradition of repression and brutality. The rebel victory in Damascus was the culmination of years of armed struggle against the Assad regime. It came at a tremendous cost. Hundreds of thousands of Syrians have been killed in the conflict. Millions more have been displaced from their homes. The country lies in ruins, its infrastructure decimated. The scars of this brutal war will take generations to heal. The international community has responded to the dramatic events in Syria with a mixture of caution and a sense of urgency. The European Union, long critical of the Assad regime, has signaled its willingness to re-engage with Syria. However, any lifting of sanctions will be contingent upon the establishment of a credible and inclusive political transition. The United States, while wary of engaging with HTS, has initiated contact with the group. This move underscores the shifting geopolitical landscape. It reflects the need to engage with the new realities on the ground in Syria. The fall of Assad has created both opportunities and challenges for the international community. One of the most pressing issues is the humanitarian crisis. Years of conflict have left millions of Syrians in desperate need of assistance. The international community must provide urgent aid to alleviate the suffering of the Syrian people. This includes providing food, shelter, medical care, and other essential services. The collapse of the Assad regime also raises concerns about the potential resurgence of ISIS and other extremist groups. The international community must remain vigilant in its efforts to counter terrorism and prevent these groups from exploiting the chaos in Syria. Even as his regime crumbled around him, Bashar al-Assad made a calculated display of defiance. He visited Hmeimim airbase in Latakia, a powerful symbol of Russia's military presence in Syria. This visit, coming just hours before his escape to Russia, was a clear message to his enemies and his allies alike. The Hmeimim airbase has been instrumental in propping up the Assad regime. Russian air power has been decisive in turning the tide of the war in Assad's favor. The base represents the depth of Russia's commitment to Assad. It serves as a stark reminder of Russia's growing influence in the Middle East. Assad's visit to Hmeimim was carefully stage-managed for maximum impact. He was shown on Syrian state television, surrounded by Russian officers, inspecting troops and military hardware. The message was clear. Assad may have lost Damascus, but he was not giving up. He still had the backing of a powerful ally in Moscow. This show of force was intended to project an image of strength and resolve. However, it also highlighted Assad's dependence on foreign powers. The visit to Hmeimim was a tacit admission that he could no longer maintain his grip on power without Russian military support. As we delve deeper, it's crucial to understand the grim reality that has unfolded over the years. The regime's actions have left an indelible mark on the nation and its people. From widespread human rights abuses to the suppression of dissent, the legacy is indeed dark. Torture, disappearances, and extrajudicial killings have become disturbingly common. This oppressive environment has stifled voices and crushed hopes. The human cost is immeasurable, and the scars run deep. It's a haunting reminder of the lengths to which power can go to maintain its grip. This chapter is not just a reflection on the past, but a call to acknowledge and address the suffering endured by countless individuals. For decades, Syria was ruled with an iron fist. The Assad family maintained control through a combination of political savvy and brutal repression. Under their rule, dissent was not tolerated, and opposition was often met with severe consequences. The regime's grip on power was unyielding, and the people of Syria lived under a constant state of surveillance and fear. In the early 2010s, a wave of uprisings swept across the Middle East and North Africa known as the Arab Spring. Inspired by these movements, Syrians took to the streets, demanding greater freedoms and an end to corruption. What began as peaceful protests quickly escalated into a brutal and protracted conflict. The government's harsh crackdown on demonstrators led to a full-scale civil war, plunging the country into chaos and bloodshed. Throughout the conflict, the Assad regime has remained defiant, denying any wrongdoing and blaming external forces for the country's turmoil. Despite overwhelming evidence of human rights abuses and war crimes, the government has consistently portrayed itself as the victim of a foreign conspiracy. This narrative has been used to justify the continued use of force against opposition groups and to rally support from loyalists. Today, Syria stands at a crossroads. The war has left the country devastated, with millions displaced and countless lives lost. The future remains uncertain, as various factions vie for control and international powers seek to influence the outcome. The resilience of the Syrian people, however, offers a glimmer of hope. As the nation grapples with its past and looks towards rebuilding, the path forward will require difficult choices and a commitment to peace and reconciliation.